Welcome back to the second map, or the second series, the third map of the second series. I know where we're up to. NA, CL Games, CL Team, and they are bringing everything so far. The first map, if you missed it, it was a 7-1 in favor of Adventure Force. The second, and the response, a 7-4 in the favor of Akatsuki. And now, next, we head to the decider. The first time these two teams have met in a best of three, arguably, this is who the real best team is. I guess we can all agree. Cafe.
Dostoyevsky.
So I just wanted to build some blood feud there. Is that the story of these two teams going up against each other?
Yeah, it's Shawn Michaels against Undertaker, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Jackal, are we going to
You do know who those guys are, yeah?
Yeah, I know wrestlers.
Great.
I just don't know the anime reference at the beginning.
Well, the Naruto. I haven't watched Naruto.
Haven't you?
I watch anime, but not Naruto.
My knowledge is Naruto runs. That's the semblance of my knowledge.
You're a bit of a boomer, aren't you?
I know, I'm just a bit too old, I think.
You're an old man.
I'm sorry. I'll be dead soon, but until then, I guess we're going to watch some Siege. We're not going with the same bands. Different band. Thatcher. Instead of it being the same Hibana, Jackal, Maestro, Echo we saw across the past two maps, they're going to slightly shift what they're doing.
Great stuff. You love to see it.
You do love to see it. Taking out Thatcher instead. Thinking about it, so far, it's kind of boiled down to the defense has been the most successful, but... No, this is a different map. This is Cafe. This is still fresh blood for a lot of teams, and it can be very, very aggressive. So we'll see who has been able to master, or at least find the semblance of an attack first. Maestro is taken out again, and if this is Echo, that means at least 3 of 4 have been consistent through the previous maps.
Yeah, we expect to see Echo or Mira. I was going to say Mira also could have been an option, but we haven't seen her be banned yet, surprisingly, which is more of the interesting one. So... same bands, except we've seen Hibana, but Thatcher off the table. So I expect to see the Kaid now be picked, 100%. Because this is the thing. I see Thatcher being banned, and I think the only reason why you do that is to enable Kaid to be played. And if I see a team not pick Kaid, I'm just going to be like, what's the point?
I mean, that's fair, and he is instantly locked onto the board. I think the thing about the Mirror ban is both these teams have been very, very good at using Mirror on the defenses. Obviously, we've generally seen more of Adventure Force's defenses than Akatsuki's based on how the first map went, but, the slivers that have otherwise come through shows that both kind of... I'm not going to say they're not reliant upon her, but they're very proficient when they have her. So I think they're happy to kind of keep her on the board as like a mutually assured destruction kind of semblance and balance. Bar is where we're going to swing to next, and obviously I think it plays into the favor of Adventure Force that they're starting on attack here. I mean, defense. That's the words that I meant to say.
Yeah, both teams have been excellent on their defense. If you look across not only Bank, but then you also look at Consulate. We have seen a total out of, 19 rounds. We have only seen 3 attack wins.
Wow. The stats.
16 defense.
They are not good. But I guess we'll see if they can find a way to... create more of a balance. Obviously, the split worked in the favor of Akatsuki on the previous map, and they managed to pull Consulate together, but Consulate was their pick. This is, again, talking of mutually assured destruction, a map where they've both decided, well, it's better than some of the other options, and I guess we'll see how it falls together. As we said, this is quite a new map. These teams have both not had the great showings on this map in recent history. I think it was seen in Akatsuki's last CL Play Day. Or most recent one, I believe. I could be wrong about that. And ACL's it's gone through some stuff recently. But they're setting themselves up to keep control of the piano side and the hatches.
Yeah, they got beat 7-2 by Obey on that.
Oh, well, Obey...
But then it did also beat Obey, though, on the second map, where they beat them on Consulate 7-3.
Okay, so they're a very good Consulate side. I mean, we saw a very...
Really? I don't know if you've ever seen them play. Did you tune in, 5 minutes ago?
I think I was there. Oh, yeah, no, I was.
You were there. I'm pretty sure I was talking to you.
I remember being there. Red Stairs is already being taken control of pretty precisely as they drop the Kaid Claw and have the gridlock tracks holding any rotation. Zest is a bit loose underneath and wants to do something aggressive here. We've seen him do some pretty tricky things and gets caught by the drone, so having to go to a plan B. Look where Euphoria is, all the way down below as well. They're doing a multi-tiered potential aggression here, and as I've said, and as you've said, and I think a lot of people have said and seen, it works very well for them.
Yeah, they like the roam game quite a bit. Whenever they have someone like Euphoria, who has been great, I think, at kind of reading the game, but not only that, he has a C4. And C4 on this specific bomb site is oh so deadly. And we have seen many, many a times where a C4 has been the end-all and be-all of many rounds. Still, for Akatsuki, they're trying to take things slow. They brought the gridlock, which I like to see. It kind of sanction off some areas and also provides the smoke coverage. And Prophecy, onto 1 HP, just caught the glimpse of the Valkyrie, but was not able to get the pick. And as you can see, there is still the Jaeger alive. Never got finished off by IQ, and has now left Akatsuki to try and push him with only 4 people left. And you can see Zest and Fro now rotating back upstairs. Breezy has been lost, and there's Fro as well. Drip is winning hard, and still have that C4 from below from Euphoria. You also still have Zuzaku lying right in the heart of the bomb site as the Legion.
Well, they're otherwise trying to find their way through the continual aggression. Euphoria has the angle from the long corridor on the backside, but Talon is just going to try and get the diffuser down, and it's down to the defenders to collapse back across. Suzaku finds one, and a second as Euphoria finds Prod in the meantime, and there's the C4, bringing this to a 2 versus 1 with exceptionally low health across generally the board. Pixel has to find a way around, sees the side of the Legion, and Legion suffers the fate, but it's the wide swing from Adventure Force that brings it back into their favor.
Suzaku is the man, isn't he? He is a beast. He just the way that he maneuvers into these outrageous positions, they're so off meta that they work so well. You know, you look at his bank performance, the way he was running around there, and then you look at his consulate, some of the performances he had with the runouts, and just and he just sat just as comfortable as he could be, and he got his rewards.
You know, it's the thing about having a player like that that can be that aggressive when, you know, we throw the word talisman player around a few times. We saw an outstanding one in the first game in a Theris, where it was at the split of the half, only 2 of them on the entire team had frags, and 1 of them had 10. And it just kind of shows that, you know, you can have these players that can keep finding bodies even in amongst the kind of overwhelming surge of attackers or defenders pushing against you. And that's what he's been able to continually do on the Jaeger, is just keep finding body after body and rotating. And it seems like sometimes even he finds himself in these situations where he's maybe not entirely sure how he's got there and survived this long, but his one job here is to kill, and he is going to do it.
So Kitchen up next for Adventure Force. A couple of changes in their operators, dropping the Mozzie and bringing the Bandit into the picture, and that makes sense whenever Thatcher is off the board. Maverick is there, but I doubt that any team would bring a Maverick on Cafe because it's not really his map. There's not a lot of kind of exploits you can use and abuse, and we're just having a bit of a lag. There we go.
Just a little bit.
You get them, just a little bit, just tiny little bit.
Oh, Pixel's going to start the slow creep towards the train side as they try and again get vertical control. With it already smashed open, it allows them to be a little bit aggressive and forward, as yet again we talked about the multi-tiered and storied defense previously. It seems like Akatsuki are responding with a bit of a multi-storied push. They're getting control of Bakery and trying to get vertical above to then be able to open up above the kitchen, which is a very vital thing. We've seen a lot of teams completely collapse if they don't force out particular positions from that vertical side, especially doubled up by the fact that Adventure Force have been so exceptional on this roam so far, where they've just kind of, well, when they go unchallenged, they really make you regret it later on down the line. Doc is potentially going to go for a run out here and just going to open the window and let some air in and maybe swing back round to that later. But for now, you can see all the bodies setting up on that Bakery and that train side for the attacker's push.
Oh, Drip. Line him up, knock him down, as the saying goes, but Breezy, what a response. He just blows them up. And now that has put things intriguingly tense now, and then he just throws himself away and feeds Drip. Another kill. Euphoria and Zest. A lot on their shoulders, and can they respond as that light is dimming?
A great play from Drip, who is otherwise kind of struggled over the previous rounds to find his way into it. Had the two bodies line up perfectly, and now it's just a matter of holding angles and waiting as the man crawls with the diffuser Talon through glass and through shards of things blown up by his own thermite charges. Looks to get the diffuser down, doesn't stick it as Zest creeps around the back and finds Prod. Pre-fires the side, but in a 2-2 and they're completely in the middle. Euphoria finds Strip. Talon sticks the diffuser and somehow gets it down in and amongst this kitchen, but now it is a very tough situation to be in. At the same time, the health of Adventure Force is low. Can pre-fire the soft wall, and Talon finds one, but cannot find the second. Valkyrie getting revenge and struggling to find the diffuser. Oh, there it is. And oh, there is the second round for Adventure Force.
Oh my. A roller coaster off a round, and Drip opened up, had a triple kill. The response from Breezy, and then that rotate from Legion to even get that kill onto Nomad was such a great reaction shot, and I loved the fact that they went back together and they doubled up in Thermite. A lot of players would try and push in through Bakery, not try and use the synergy that they have. They would try and pinch her from both ways. All it takes is Thermite to hide behind a bit of cover, eliminate the one guy, and then quickly 180. And it's winnable. He had the health advantage all day long, but they teamed up against them. They had the refrag potential, and it worked everything for them. So Adventure Force, yes, they take the round, but it wasn't an easy one. And, well, Drip didn't make it easy for them.
Reading room and fireplace we go to, usually at least the third point on the board. Nobody seems to go over to the old train side anymore because it's just, well, it's not quite as good, really. The hard walls on the front of the reading room and the fireplace side, just, it kind of makes everything a little bit more solid, a little bit more, comfortable from the defensive. The first cap can we've seen today, part of me is kind of hoping it's the Halloween skin that we see. I unfortunately haven't been able to play any of the new event, but apparently it's A, really, really fun, and B, absolutely terrifying.
You'll never know.
Oh, no, I won't. Unfortunately, this goes on. But hey,
don't cry, bro. You're here.
It's not. Yeah, we're out here. We're having a great time. We're watching some Siege. What else is there to complain about? Setting themselves up for the hold. They have the information. They have what has been a pretty consistent and deadly pairing of the Valkyrie and the Mozzie. And in the same breath of wind, the pretty deadly pairing of what has been Suzaku and Zest.
It's been great. I've also loved adding in Fro there, and everybody in this kind of game has had their ups and downs. Adventure Force especially has had more ups. They just look as if they're a lot more of a solid team, and sure, maybe they slacked on their attacks during Consulate, but, defense was all the rave, as we've seen 11 rounds be played out on there, and only one attack on which did come from Akatsuki. And, you look at everything that kind of going for Adventure Force on their defense, they've looked excellent. Really top-class stuff. And Akatsuki, they've just looked very lackluster, and I kind of feel it's their coordination to kind of push out roamers as a team. And the roam game has been all the rave for Adventure Force. That's all they've been doing. And Akatsuki just never really caught on to it. They've had some great moments. We look at Drip, that triple kill last round, and, even players like Pixel, who, yes, kind of had like a rough first game, kind of got into it in the second game, and hopefully now he will try and build up a bit of momentum and finally get his way into the foothold of this match.
Well, Euphoria is trying to dig in on this side for as long as possible and hold the ground, but the pressure is mounting against this window, and it's the balance of do you want to lose your life here, and where is the trade of time? As more bodies enter and they swing through, you do still have the C4 in pocket, and it can be throwable, but you've got to time it and angle it just right, because if you go too wide, they're going to take advantage of it, and they just get gunned down. Finds one and finds two. Downs the thermite. The diffuser is cold on the floor next to him. Almost finds the third, but gets taken out, but that is huge from the Valkyrie.
Yeah, Prod has the refrag, and realistically, a drone would come in handy. And I don't know why it wasn't there. They tried to thermite into Train Museum. Suzaku again. This man, he's God. He's a god.
Every time I see Suzaku running away from getting one of those outside, I just imagine a Dick Dastardly laugh, just like a villain's laugh.
Why has this man never lifted the sledgehammer?
Adventure Force.
I know, I can physically imagine what you're thinking of right now, because I can see it in my head as well, because I used to watch Wacky Races back in the day.
Oh, great show.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
3-0 we find ourselves on. Bar and Cocktail, they're open to rotate to any point. And obviously this one out of... I guess the diffuser went down in the second, and it was some heroics from Drip that really kind of kept Akatsuki in it and getting the triple kill, and obviously, but this one was a pretty bit of battle as far as it went. Obviously, it did come down to some sneaky positioning on the far Balk side, and new Balk, but I think Akatsuki can find a response.
Mira being brought into the fray of things, which is a new one for Adventure Force in this map. Sure, they played it during their bank, and it worked pretty decent. They knew how to work that operator. And now they're going to be having it here for the top floor, and Mira is... Oh, what can we say about Mira? She is stupidly strong, because if the clear lines of sight you can get is unbelievable. Honestly, teams have started, whenever Mira's available, teams have started to actually open up the freezer wall looking into Piano, because they have that long angle of the Mira window. Instead, they're going to reinforce it, just a little bit more of a safety precaution, but they still have an aggressive Mira window looking in towards the bathroom, in towards Piano still, which can be a little more potent to quick aggressive pushes from, you know, like nades. Habana is available, which we're not seeing from Akatsuki, which probably would have helped them, and two hard breachers. Sure, you can get away with just the one in Cafe, but I still think having the two. And plus Habana, the gun that Habana gets is great. Type 89, you know, you have the free speed, you have the sidearm as well. It can be used as a bit of a fragging machine, and, you know, just a really solid operator. I don't really see a downside of picking her.
Wow, I love this positioning of this mirror window because it really just acts as a kind of countenance to them trying to get any pace against that entrance. Obviously, with the skylight drop and with the far drop towards the top of red stairs, it's the usual entrance point across the floor, so you can kind of set yourself up in a bit of comfort that there's the constant fear. They will be watching you and they will be able to strike back. Suzaku is creeping around the bottom of red as well, waiting for the information in the right time to swing round and probably start his... well, what he's been doing so well as he takes the Nomad charge out and actually goes a little bit further around. There's two bodies there, and he's just waiting and creeping, and he knows and he's itching to swing around and get these kills, but it's just the trade-off of, is it going to be worth it? How watched is it? Just wait the extra 30 seconds, because as soon as they start to enter and you get the word from the two mirror windows, or you get the word from the Valkyrie cams, or you get the word from the Mozzie drones, that could be monumental frags.
He's just going to go for it. He's just waiting his time, but here he comes up the creep, and, well, that's unfortunate for Talon. Really sloppy play. Why is there not an air jab? You have a Nomad. You do not place one on red stairs?
There was one.
But whenever it gets shot, you hear the bullet. Why not put another one?
Nope, that's true. They find the second on the, well, they find the response on the swing, and that's the second body down, and there's Breezy pre-firing the window as Drip suffers a huge amount of damage and has actually swung down and then back up to try and keep a little bit of control. Breezy, in the meantime, has been forced off of that new Balk mirror window.
I just don't get it. You can hear the man shoot the Nomad. Plus, the air jab should not have been even in a position where Jaeger can shoot that. That was the main thing. It shouldn't be even in that position to begin with. And now Adventure Force, they're just taking them for a ride. They've got them by the ankles, they're swinging them around, and just, Akatsuki.
I think there's big compliments obviously to be paid, and I guess the operator lost was from Suzaku. They took the thermite out, and on this point there's a default plant point, and it kind of heavily relies on a thermite, and that's why they were playing Protect Mr. President and keep him on the back, but you've got to do more than trust your electronics, and if you are...
It's so sad seeing a team that brings a Nomad. You fire an air jab that, first of all, is in the clear line of sight for a defender to shoot that, and then you hear him shoot it. He didn't have a suppressor in his gun. You still then do not go back and put another one there, nor do you have any realization that he could be flanking.
Yeah, and the thing is, think how long Suzaku was there as well. He was confidently there by the time that we started paying attention to the whole incident. And you think, well, didn't they have any kind of semblance of intel down there?
The only reason why I'm being really harsh on them is because it's a basic mistake that should not occur for this level of gameplay. You're in Challenge League. Sure, it's not Pro League, but it's still the best that NA's got outside of that. Sure, there's USN, but that's, you know, a mad process to get into that tournament. Whereas Challenger League gives you that time to work and grow as a team. And if you still have basic mistakes, that's the reason why I'm saying this. You can watch back and see what I'm saying and learn from it, because it's cost you rounds.
Kitchen. We return to Drip, managed to pull some heroics in and amongst this bakery side, but you assume they probably won't be able to repeat the same thing. The first 2 kills were 2 bodies that were lined up in the bar having a good time at least. They're going to still kind of keep themselves active, keep the roam going, and it's just, you know, Adventure Force again swinging into the aggression on the defense, but we've got to always kind of hark back to the stats where if they keep this up and they put themselves on the 6-0, we've seen mainly every single defense round go the way of the defenders. So there's always the balance that it could be pulled back by Akatsuki. It's a hard one to say it's over because how much of this is just you're being pressed upon and how much of it is, well, it's just swinging your way. Drop the drone and holding it very aggressively. Breezy, who pulled off the C4 that balanced this round previously back into their favor, is yet again playing with some sided aggression that was actually his downfall previously, but there he goes. Wide swings with the SMG, but doesn't catch anything.
Fro fragging out, but that's actually going to be Suzaku. He's been caught out this time with a Claymore as he went for the aggressive jump out of the kind of new bakery side of things, and has played with his life. It's now 4v5, and this could finally be the time for Akatsuki, and that is bad timing for Fro. He just barely missed the sledge, does get the refrag, but they have lost Breezy, they've lost the Bandit, and this is intrigue now for Akatsuki to, first of all, they've took Bakery, they've took the little entrance in towards the Bakery prep, and now they can very simply try and work their way into the bomb site, but they have to get rid of the remaining Bandit charges that are still lurking on that main wall, and with no Thatcher, since that's been a ban, they will have to rely on either the upstairs control, which isn't really going to be into their way of things with losing Pixel, or the Twitch drone, and Twitch drone, as you just seen, did get rid of the Bandit charge. I
think SAPPHIRE accidentally destroyed the Twitch drone there as well. Luckily it had done at least some of its work.
It done its job.
Yeah, but now they're holding a little bit of a tighter angle now. They haven't been able to get all open that they wanted to. Euphoria, who's had a very good game on the Valkyrie so far, is looking for a way to rotate back as Throw and Zest are just going to try and hold the firing lines as the drones come in. They know roughly where they're going to be anyway, and brilliant pick there to take care of Drip creeping around the other side. They have this locked down. They're buying Valkyrie a huge amount of time to potentially find another entrance here as she's doing from the long side of Bar. The MPX is a great gun for hitting heads, but it is a veritable pea shooter, so they've already demonstrated they can take you from that range. Get a bit closer with a minute on, the flashes are coming out. Here comes the utility waste, and they're going to try and creep in and get the diffuser, but with 2 big guns still watching, they otherwise still can't find their feet inside. Wide swinging and wide peeking, the bodies and the heads are appearing for the Doctor, but he hasn't been able to lock off any yet as they push closer and closer, though it's only a matter of time. Valkyrie has to start making a move as Talon gets in with a diffuser as well. Hit the Nomad, and they are aware this time. It's not the previous round, they're learning, but Valk's actually going to change strategy as Legion pushes hard and gets dropped in the meantime. There is one back in the favor of Adventure Force, but with 20 seconds left, there's a second, but no! Akatsuki managed to find it deep from the opposite side of Kitchen and at least stem the bleeding.
Just about they held that together as he was cooking up quite the recipe for disaster for Valkyrie, but just unfortunately misses out on that one. So Akatsuki, they get their first round on the board, and it kind of came down to that first early engagement, specifically Fro not being quick enough to stop the sledge, because if Bandit was still alive, and Bandit was allowed to Bandit trick, it would have, first of all, ate up a lot more of Akatsuki's time, and it would have meant they would have to pushed in towards the bakery prep, which is a very big choke point, which, you know, you can have like a C4 just tossed in and you get a free kill, and you have that massive double window they have to worry about. So just that one little mistake has kind of cost them there.
Reading room, we head to for the last defense on the side of Adventure Force, and I think this is a very big round. If Akatsuki can manage to take this, I could potentially see them taking the entire map based on the history of how they've generally set themselves up on the split side and how they've managed to find their way slightly further through. It's just, for me, Adventure Force, where they've struggled the most has been on these attacks. Generally, I guess you could say the same about both teams, but Akatsuki have managed to find a balance across what they're doing, and it's the creativity of Adventure Force that seems to continually spur them in the heels every single step of the way. obviously, reading room was, it was a violent point the last time we were here, and they weren't quite as apt in shutting down the roam. But so far, the kitchen takes, I mean, that was definitely a marked improvement on the previous attempt.
So reading room last time did work really well for Adventure Force. Everybody from Akatsuki just fell within, like, the first minute. The roam game really sung home for, I keep wanting to say 100 thieves, because I see that stupid tag that Suzaku has.
What?
He has Suzaku 100 thieves. That's his tag, and every time I look over towards that, I think that we're casting 100 thieves, but that's not in Siege.
He's just a businessman.
Oh,
he's out here trying to work.
It's really annoyed me.
He's trying to get the pickup.
I keep wanting to say it.
Never stop hustling is Suzaku's goal here.
What a guy.
To be fair, he's doing an advert as throw swings out, hits Nomad. Can they get back in time? There is nobody on the side. Ooh, almost. Akatsuki and the drop from Drip. Well, finds throw on the far side, and that could have been a very, very big clean take. They've traded the Nomad for the Vigil, and well, we've seen Nomad be quite a big, important part of this, but otherwise, it's... Well, it's a take, I think it's fair to say. They're starting their clear across the top with the Thermite still standing, and Suzaku is not far away.
Drip's really woken up this match specifically. He was a ghost during the first map on Bank, but now he's showing up where it means big. So we look at kind of the setup that now Adventure Force have. They've lost their Vigil, but Vigil did get the kill. Trade out of the Nomad, which probably was a good thing, eliminating those air jabs to allow the playstyle of the rest of the roamers to try and extend that. Drip's still extending in more kills. Now, for Akatsuki, they have a great setup. They have some breaching charges and still that sledge to open up, and Breezy, well, he's in for a world of hurt. A couple of pot shots, but still nothing. Great position, though, I think, from Zest. He can now utilize the rotation up red stairs. He can hold pillars and can also hold onto the B bomb site. But since there is a lot of destructibility, I have a feeling that Adventure Force know that Akatsuki will go for the B bomb site. Dining's out of the question. It has to be the reading. And a lot of pressure now relies on Zest to see if he can hold pillars.
Well, it becomes such a big point of contention as well, because there's so many angles you can hold from those balconies, and the vertical play we've already seen become a big part of it, and there is such a close firefight across those, and Drip is alive, I think, to tell the story, but it's just going to buy them. It's going to be a tough pullback here as Zest aggressively pushes and tries to take land. Euphoria and Breezy find one apiece, but with a post-plant situation and vertical in their favor, it's all down to the one man above. No! They find the kills. Adventure Force putting themselves on their second defuse of the day and the 5th round win. But now they have a little bit of an uphill, I would say, because so far their attacks have been lackluster, is fair.
Oh, the attack now for Adventure Force. And Akatsuki, probably to their liking, they get to have a go on the defense. Look at the kills, Euphoria. Oh my, 13 kills and 3 ahead of everybody in the lobby. The only man double digits, so 2 kills around for him. That is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he really just kind of keeps finding himself in these situations. I know we've kind of complimented the aggression from some of the other players. Obviously, the trio stand-up of Suzaku, Zest, and Throw, which has been rampant across this cafe, has been good at getting those initial frags. Those are sometimes impact, sometimes just putting a body down. But at the same time, what Euphoria has been able to pull apart from those attacks and just keep adding and adding to his tally, and the response that he's able to do when he needs to do it in that kind of mid-round section has been, for me, one of the big parts of how they've been able to take it. But as I mentioned before, it's what they can do now. Akatsuki, they've got 1 round under their belt, and that could prove important, because this is when they've got to show up and show what they have otherwise been pretty successful on the previous map on their defenses, being completely flawless across the previous attempt, and, well, dropping 1 in the first map that cost them. Now they've got 1 buffer round and 1 round of safety to play. Can they make some magic happen?
So next up for Adventure Force, we'll have to try and attack in towards the bar. And Akatsuki, Warden, being chosen.
First time, I think.
No, I think, did we see in one of the playlists? Or am I thinking of, I might be thinking of Prem. That's what I think I'm thinking
you're thinking of Prem.
Yeah.
We saw a Warden on Prem.
Yeah.
No, this is first Warden of the OGA tournament.
Yeah. I think for good reason, though, because, honestly, Warden just, he sucks.
Well, don't hold back.
Yeah, he's just, you look at what Adventure Force are bringing. There is no smokes. What's the point of them?
I mean, I guess let's see. Talon, if you can make something work with this Warden hold on top, if you can eat some utility, let's see what your plan is here. They've obviously got these bullet holes in the hard reinforcement with the little pop behind window to play a bit of aggressive peekaboo as the drop down comes from the hatches and across. It just kind of keeps you, I guess, with a semblance of balance because you're assuming there's going to be flashes and other bits and bobs thrown towards your eyes. And if you can get someone thinking that they're safe in and amongst a kind of mess in the center, well, it could be a very vital frag, especially if they are trying a quick, flashy and well, flashed plant. There goes the opening wall across red, and they're going across to piano with bodies and guns covering the rotation up from the stairs. Not going to suffer the same fates as Aku made, well, the opponents previously as they creep steadily closer towards this corridor on white.
Prophecy, looking a little bit itchy. You see him peering in, and there's the IQ. Will fire on through and eliminate the Valkyrie cameras, which have been dotted around in towards the piano. Wall being opened up in towards Freezer and Drip now. He is in a tantalizingly close position to everybody, and since he did get droned out, that's an easy pre-fire and an easy elimination for Euphoria. Adds on to that mighty kill tally that he already does have. Now we move in. And we'll actually see where Akatsuki want to go from here, because they're down, you know, they're down that Valkyrie, which could be used as a Nitro Cell in the C4 to deny below. And now Zest has the F2 in hand, and he has to start opening up with this.
Well, Euphoria still trying to make work happen, and there is a great peek there. They waited and baited for the spin, but suddenly everybody's hit the floor, and Throws found his way into the safety of the vault. It's just the Warden left. Can he prove his worth here in the 1 versus 2? Unfortunately not. Adventure Force find themselves aggressively pushing through the top floor and find themselves on match and game point.
Yep, they're ready to go. They're in, they're now, and they are here. Adventure Force. Great attack from them. They had everything planned out from bit by bit. Drip. He needs to try and turn up. He's been the only man. Oh, Pixel. Ooh, Pixel.
Yeah, Pixel's had a bit of an unfortunate day today. Really hasn't been able to find himself across this map. In the previous map, he seemed renegated to IQ duty to balance out, and it's something that someone's got to do, so it's the hard role of being that kind of support operator to balance the Valkyrie, but it's just a shame to kind of see a player who we know can, kind of make the work and put the bodies down, just, again, struggling to find their way in on the feet. Bar and Cocktail, they're going to opt for again. Going to try and take the top floor. Obviously, it did come down to a 2 versus 1, and there were some good pickups and trades, but I'm kind of wondering how Akatsuki are going to respond. Potentially have someone a little bit more active underneath. We've already seen it work very well for Adventure Force. We've seen them be able to have this aggressive roam game work well for them as well, and that time they were generally all concerned and kind of buried in on this top floor and keeping the angles and letting Adventure Force fall apart them and upon them even. And often what we've seen with Adventure Force is if they find themselves in a situation, they're so good at just exploding through it.
They are. I kind of feel that leads into their aggressive and roamer-like stuff that they had in defense, which should easily be applied to their attack. The way that they divvy up each other into different sections to try and push whatever they want, it works a treat. And Akatsuki, we know that Cafe was going to be a tough one for them, especially if we look back at how they played against Obey, where they got beat 7-2. And I remember that I think Drip said that was like, oh, we're never going to play Cafe again. We're just never going to let that through the banning phase. Best of 3 is a little bit different because you don't have that luxury.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of good to see teams like this on a best-of-3 situation. Obviously, they've only ever really battled it out across either closed qualifier, open qualifiers. They've battled it out across Challenger League, which is a best-of-1, and some teams just kind of work their way into this situation. And I think it's nice to see these two teams given the ability to stretch their legs across the maps, because if you saw the first map and if you saw the second map, you'll have two very big ideas of who you think is the better team out of these two teams, and I guess it's down to the balance of the third and who can go the distance and keep the marathon going. Setting themselves up again for a similar take as last time, Adventure Force already in on Piano by the looks of it, and Cigar applying some immediate pressure with Pixel covering the rotate on the backside, but last time it was quite slow and steady. Prod is looking for the long-range firefight from Cocktail Balcony, and so far they've just been free to swing round. For some reason, the Nomad tried to pick the firefight there, and you know, the amount of ground that Adventure Force have already taken is actually pretty good in their favor.
Thermite charge being placed right beside Prophecy, and will have to move away. Unfortunately, that Kai charge was not cooked and was not thrown out in time. So Breezy has made that first beachhead, but they still have to try and get through the next one, and this is what the Thatcher ban does to teams. It makes them stop, it makes them stutter. Strip will find the first blood. Unlike the first time, whenever they did defend this, he was taken out very early on, but very quickly Suzaku does answer back, and Breezy snaps right onto the head of Drip into a 3-on-3. Adventure Force, they have managed to take control of that Piano and in towards the Frasers, where they will go next, as, of course, they still have one Thermite charge in the back, and they will open towards that main beachhead. So 3-on-3. Akatsuki, they have control of below, technically, if they want to quickly rotate, and even if Pixel wants to use that Nitrocell, which is probably the well-advised thing. Suzaku, he has just came alive this series. He has been non-stop, start to finish, on top of everybody this game. Oh, but the collapses came in. Akatsuki looks as if they're ready to pull it back and go for another fight in another round. Or will Euphoria pull some mad things? Best player in this game so far, statistically. Can he make it matter when it counts?
Well, with 15 seconds left on the clock and two people set up in a crossfire and already one of them having eyes on you, it was a tough situation for anyone to pull back. 6-2. The gap gets slightly less wide, but it is still a big ominous chasm, with Akatsuki having to rotate to their second point, and then from that on, they're onto their third point, and that's a worrying position for anyone when we're still seeing Adventure Force be so classically aggressive and it working so consistently against everything that they're setting up. Euphoria 14-5 is making mincemeat of this map.
I would love Suzaku just to sign anything for me. I'd like him to sign a part of my body.
So what you're saying is you kind of want them to get to LAN. Then you can meet him. Meet the man.
SSG, whoever wins this match, and that's
that's
a
something
big
to
ask.
think about. So whoever wins this is obviously up against SSG.
If he does, he can sign whatever he wants on top of me. Anything.
Is he allowed to write 100 Thieves on it as well?
Sure.
Wow.
Why not?
If you're listening, org representation, look at the power that signing Suzaku would have.
Just sign the single player. Nobody else. He's just
like signing with like a clothing brand, like star athlete.
Yeah, get him be a merch guy. Get him to model.
Setting up now on Kitchen. This was a point that became pretty... it was a tight fight quite often. Obviously, the long sight line across that corridor on the northern side between bar and bakery became, well, where a lot of it fell together. Drip obviously getting the double kill and swinging around for the third, and then the response from a Valkyrie that almost clawed the way back around, but then took the fight inside as well. And I guess we'll see if anything more comes of the vertical play, because that seemed to kind of be put to a sideline from these guys' gameplay. And obviously it's, you know, down to the region style and how they like to hold it and how they like to be aggressive with it. You see more on EU, they'll throw a buck upstairs or they'll throw a sledge upstairs and they'll start cracking open as much of the kitchen as possible, especially some of the particular holds, like the half wall that's directly in front of the entrance on the side and stuff like that. Whereas here it seems to be a lot more aggressive. They'll take the firefight flat on, they'll try and win it with gun skill and aim sense, and they'll try and just find their way into point, get the diffuser down and hold it on the angles. And both have been pretty successful useful either way. Pixel is holding the reverse on the vertical and waiting for someone else to take the opportunity, but there is Hibana making her way open, and I believe the first time we've seen double hard destruction on this map.
Yeah, Hibana now being brought in. It makes a lot of sense whenever you will struggle against the Kaid plus Bandit combination. Adventure Force, the only way they can get rid of said, devices is by using the upstairs verticality. Do they know Mute's there? Well, now they will, as Talon has picked off one. Euphoria, come on, bro. There you go. It's actually Breezy had to do it for you. Yeah, but they need to go upstairs to deny access to the Bandit, or else they're not getting in. They could go for the old classic, put a Thermite charge on one side and a Bandit on the other, but then Kaid also goes into the mix. That could be tricky on top of it. A lot of decision-making now for Adventure Force, because whatever they go for will decide the course of this, and even the Mute Jammer being brought in, yeah, they need to go upstairs. There's no other option.
Well, they're setting themselves up, and obviously with only a little bit of damage done to the side and the shoulders of Akatsuki, they still have a fair bit of work left to do, taking care of business IQ and making sure they have some angles, and a very high Hibana hold there going over the top. Potentially just to get a bit more control and pop some severe charges over, maybe to cover, and they're also going to crack open the red corridor side. Get themselves the crossfire set, but you can see the blue outline of the Jaeger up above, waiting and ready to pounce and rotate from either side, so you've got to be aware of that danger that is imminent, and there it is. Prophecy finds Suzaku from above, and that's just going to make this harder and harder. They do catch the Kaido, the Bandit, is able to find some, as Euphoria is just going to hard push and they all charge, but there's still the man above. They've completely forgotten about him. There is that vertical hold that we talked about, and there was no care about it from the side of Adventure Force.
That Thatcher ban is oh so tough to deal with whenever you look at the kitchen, where a Bandit trick is very simple. There's not a lot that can stop you apart from the upstairs verticality, and whenever there is players from Akatsuki trying to hold that area to try and kind of divert everything away from that point of the map, then it makes a lot of sense for the Thatcher ban if that's the way they're kind of playing. And even if you look at the defense on the kitchen for Adventure Force, even Akatsuki, they had issues trying to get in towards that kitchen. Every team will struggle with this, because it is a tough one. And again, Kaid and Bandit being chosen, and also Mute, you had every form of denial of the breach. And again, I kind of feel as if still Adventure Force have this, because now it's going to be the offside. It's going to be the reading room. Mira being picked up, though, by Prod, so they're going to probably go for an upstairs hold, I reckon, and this is all it comes down to, is whoever wins this upstairs hold, and this is the round, this is the make or break, because I feel if Adventure Force, if they lose this, I could very easily see Akatsuki pull this back.
That was the thing. So that previous round was the weakest we've, I would say, seen Adventure Force on the attack. The other rounds have otherwise fallen in, and towards them at least finding a fight, but that round reminds me of the first rounds we saw them do on the previous two maps, where they kind of just threw themselves into it. They went, oh, there's this going on upstairs. We've already lost one person to it, but let's just throw ourselves towards the point and see if we can make something happen, and it just doesn't really work. You unfortunately lose bodies, and it's kind of a bit of a throw of a round at that point when you're not going to really care about the pressure that's put on from above. Here is one where obviously there's going to be a lot of utility above. There's the mirror on board alongside the Valkyrie for info. They have a huge amount if you add the Mozzie in too, and it's down to how aggressively Akatsuki want to try and hold upstairs, but that is what they're going to need to get control of, and with the buck on the board, you know that they're planning it too.
Yep, they have a lot of things going for them, definitely on that lineup. Still bringing the Thermite, you always need just a little bit of hard breach. I wonder if they knew Mira was going to be picked, they would have brought the Hibana, because of course it was a 6th pick onto the Mira, which, there's been that debate about, is 6th pick worth it? Is it worth putting that time aside to do that? What are really the benefits? I'm on the side where I think there's a lot of benefits. I know there's people that are kind of against it. What's your take on it?
I like it, but I think a lot of people don't realize what it kind of looks like in game. Because a lot of people misunderstand the system, and they're not quite sure of how the information goes, because obviously you have no idea who's swapped, if anyone. There's always the theory, there's always the miss, and what you'll see teams doing is they'll bait one play style, they'll bait a pace, and then they'll swap to a different pace. So you'll see Clash to someone. You'll see, you know, Castle to someone. You'll see those kind of changes to throw people off. And Mirror is one of those pace changes, because if they think as a team that they can get in and get quick, one of them might go a little bit aggressive, and then bam, they're met with a mirror wall. They're suddenly in a hot, you know, pot of boiling water, and they just get cooked alive. And it's that kind of combination. Prophecy is going to hold in towards Piano side, and this is generally where they probably bought the thermite to try and crack this wall open. But the side gets the mirror window and almost gets the mirror. The bullets swing towards the man on the window, but don't quite catch anything. And Prophecy is forced out into Piano side.
So they've eliminated the first mirror window, and Breezy just crouch walking in free bar. Talon tried to eliminate said man on the window, but he has been eliminated himself, and now the collapse from Akatsuki has not worked to their advantage, and Adventure Force, they've took full advantage of it. Prophecy, who is still left unchecked in Piano, Drip pushes down into his demise, and now a 1v4 for Prophecy. I don't see this going any other way, but a win for Adventure Force. They look as if they're booking their ticket against SSG, unless Prophecy, he can try and create a little mischief himself. Breezy going for the plant, swing around from Prophecy, still at default cam. They know where they will be located as the attackers, and now Prophecy going in towards a bomb site, but there's the pixel angle being held. Adventure Force, they're into the next round. They knock out Akatsuki, and, well, a team who was bottom of CL, they've all of a sudden just, they've went in oh so big. Words can't describe what they've done tonight.
I mean, there's a lot of highlight reel plays there for a lot of different players, but you've really got to give credit to the battle that was broken out by both sides. A huge amount of swing towards the defensive sides, but otherwise, I think a lot of players have shown up. And if you remember at the very beginning of this night, we weren't even sure if they were going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
There were some unfortunate timing issues, but they worked out to be here to take the win. Now they've got to face SSG next.
Yeah.
And that is a tough
That's the next
game.
one. That's the next one for them. Who knows? We've had wild stuff before, been seen in esports, and, well, you know, upsets are always going to be a thing. But we draw our attention to Rogue against Okami, which will be our next matchup. That'll be coming up right after this break.
predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.